All right, guys. So what you're going to see today is how I run Facebook ads, how I test Facebook ads in the early stages. Okay. So we're going to go through the ready, fire, aim philosophy and the 5-2-2 strategy for launching your initial Facebook ads, your early Facebook ads. And we're going to look at the absolute keys to getting your marketing funnel working profitably. Okay. I know you guys are running different types of campaigns right now. But it's really important to understand the overall philosophy for this. And it's going to be important for other people. I know Katia and Lawrence aren't here today, but everybody's running Facebook ads. They really they need to grasp this stuff. And this took a long time to learn. So I've spent close to $1 million now on Facebook ads over the past 6 years. And this is basically the way I approach them. Okay. But the first thing to say is they're really part of the whole. Okay. So your marketing funnel is a system, right? So it's the sum of all parts that make up the whole. So therefore, like, no arrangement of a funnel or special tactics that you use are going to fix a broken ad. So for example, if you have an amazing, cool, fancy funnel with all these bells and whistles, but your ad doesn't work, the funnel's not going to work. If your offer isn't something that people want, your ad's not going to work. So you're really looking at the ad, you're looking at the offer, and you're looking at the funnel, and all these pieces have to work. And if any of them are out of place, the whole thing will just collapse. Okay. So when you look at most people's funnels, right, people that just sort of throw them up, let's say there's a lot of people out there that just maybe they're watching some sort of webinar training, or they're taking some courses on funnels, and they're just like, okay, people do funnels like this, let me try and do them, right? But they don't really have the philosophy or the strategies or the tactics that we share with you here. What ends up happening, and I know this happened to you in your last program, Brandon, people get a lot of low quality leads, right? Which leads to low engagement on the funnel and a high drop off throughout the funnel. So what does that mean? That means that the people that are coming through, they don't really have budget. They don't really have serious intent. They're often just opting in for a free thing. And therefore they don't really take the training seriously. And they might book in calls, and you might get loads of cheap calls and cheap leads, but people don't show up to the calls. Brandon, what was your show up rate to the last funnel that you ran?
I don't even know the percentage, but I had 30 calls booked in 1 week and 2 of them showed up. So
yeah,
like
okay.
6%. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So pretty low. It was very similar with Philip Werner as well. Very similar sort of thing. And his closing rate was 0, basically, with all the calls he was booking in. So this results ultimately, obviously, in low conversions and ultimately failure. And it kind of sucks because you get a little bit burnt out talking to crappy people. So when you effectively execute everything that we're teaching you here, okay, so all the marketing principles, strategies, and the tactics that we teach you in the Modern Warrior, your funnel will instead attract high quality leads, okay? They'll get buy-in from those leads on day one. Now, buy-in, I mean like intent, right? They'll actually take the training or whatever a little bit seriously, which results in higher engagement throughout the funnel, right? Which results in more bookings into your calendar, which results in more client sales faster while spending less money, ultimately. And what I essentially mean by that is the better your messaging is, the better your ad is, the more appealing your offer is, the better your funnel is set up, the more people are actually going to engage throughout it. And when people engage throughout it, the thing that gets people to a place of where they want to buy is this metric called time and consumption, TIC. Okay. So if somebody, for example, if they just opt in for something and they never read an ebook that they opt in for, they never watch a training that they opt in for, those people aren't ready to buy. It's the engagement in the asset and engaging with you and paying attention to what you have to say. That's the thing that makes someone think, oh, maybe this is a good idea to jump on a line with this person. Okay. So the more engagement throughout your content, right, provided it's quality, is what's going to dictate whether or not people book in calls. Okay. So there's 3 keys, right, to creating a successful funnel like this. Step 1, as we covered, is the perfect ad, right? The ad is the first port of call. If the ad is like your first domino. If it doesn't work, nothing thereafter is going to work. Okay. So your copy's got to be on point. For Facebook ads, you got to have a really good pattern interrupt, which is the first 3 seconds, which we'll look at. We may look at today. And then you've got the big promise. Okay. What is the big promise? What is the big outcome, the big result that you're promising? Okay. And then you've got an awesome offer, an insane offer, like your ebook, Brandon, like the one that I run, right? Okay. Discounted from $27 to $1, but even more so, like, what else is in the offer, right? So it's got to be like a big promise, right? In a push button way, without things that people hate. Okay. So the more out the box it is, the better. The more done for you it is, the better. The less people have to think, the better. The more push button type solution that people have, the better. Okay. And that's what makes a good offer. And then when you add in things like discounts and bonuses, and you just reduce friction and make it easy for someone, that when it's very alluring, when they're like, oh shit, this is a really powerful, cool offer that this person's giving me, right? That's when people are going to ultimately want to take the next step. Okay. And then the last step to this really is like knowing your numbers. Okay. So in order to make a funnel work, it requires serious amounts of testing, usually. Okay. Dwayne, you've done really well getting results there in your first ad. And a lot of that's down to the power of Jimmy's copy, right? But a lot of the time, you're not going to hit it out the water on day one, right? So blow it out the water on day one. So you've got to really kind of be reasonable with your testing. You've got to be very persistent, and you've got to think about the big picture. You got to think about what you're really building. And this is what I was addressing with Lawrence on Tuesday is, he's worried about spending his first $1,000. And if he doesn't get a sale from his first $1,000, well, he's trying to build an over 6-figure business, and if that's really your goal, but you're afraid to invest $1,000 into ads to build that business, you're never really giving it the right chance. If you think about students who are buying an education in the UK, I know America costs loads of money, right? 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a year, NYU to go to college, right? In the UK, which is next to Ireland, it's £9,000 sterling a year, right? For an 18-year-old to go to that school. That's 27,000 sterling over the course of 3 years, is about $40,000, right? And they can barely get jobs out of that shit, right? So when you're building a funnel, you're building something that's going to pay you and serve your business for the rest of your life, making 6 figures, 200, 300, 400K a year. So if you're worried about spending $1,000 on that, you're never really gonna give the baby what it needs to really be able to actually grow. So knowing your numbers is key. So when you look at the potential profit on a funnel like this, right? So everybody's selling high ticket here. So let's say your offer is 3K, okay? Which I'd hope all you guys are getting up to. I know, what are your guys' core offer at the moment, Brandon and Dwayne? What's the price?
I'm running case studies at half price of 3K, so 1,500, but for 12 weeks.
Okay.
I'm about the same, so I'm 15 for the 12 weeks, and then after my next 6, it's going up to 24, because then I'll have the case studies to lean on for my advertising.
Perfect. And I imagine at some point, Dwayne, as soon as your authority is a bit established, you're going to be edging up towards that 3K. Would that be accurate?
Probably, yeah.
And you can look at your lifetime value as well. So when people re-sign up as well. So let's say your offer is around 3K, or even if your lifetime value is around 3K. Okay. And say you get it up there. And you had a funnel, right? That was booking in about 70 calls per month, right? Now, if you closed 20% of those calls, 70 calls a month, you're looking at $42,000 a month. Okay. If you close 40% of those calls, you're looking at $84,000 a month. And if you double that offer and you get in the realm of B2B and what we charge for our services, even above this, the 10K, 15K, if you have a $6,000 offer. So Lawrence, who's probably watching the recording now, if you have a $6,000 offer and you're closing at 40%, you're looking at $168,000 a month, which is well over a 7-figure business. Okay. So you're looking at some serious numbers. Now, obviously, when you're booking in 70 calls a month, that's going to be hard. You're taking, 17, 18 calls a week at that point. So at that point, you're probably hiring a setter. Okay. Or you're probably hiring a salesperson to help you out with that. But it's not like as soon as you're able to book 20 calls into the calendar per month with a funnel, there's no reason why you can't book 70. Okay. So it's like, as soon as you get a funnel working, there's no reason why you can't scale it. Okay. Now, obviously, when this level of volume is coming in, you're going to want to have your whole product built out. You're going to want a system. You're going to want things like it to be smooth as soon as somebody buys. You're going to want everything quite like set up. Your marketing is going to want to be dialed in. The systems want to be built, and your product wants to be built for people to come through. And you're going to want the very kind of seamless enrollment process. But as soon as you have all those pieces put together, that's when you can kind of really start to ramp things up, right? Because in the early days when sales come in, you're like, oh, okay, I'm still trying to build this whole thing. I'm ready, fire aiming it and putting all these pieces together. But what we're looking at here is the end goal and the end possibilities with funnels. Okay. And you can even go beyond this. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So the first domino in your funnel, right, as we touched on before, is always going to be the ad. Okay. Now, the thing with this is like one good ad can completely transform your business. Okay. So take the Modern Warrior Guide, for example. So when I started coaching, I tried a lot of different marketing angles. So I started out doing personal development coaching. My movement was called Way of the Warrior, right? And it was just about, I had a few clients, a few dudes, right? A few people I was working with, a lady, a few disempowered people who were kind of in pretty low energetic states, you might say. And it was a bit like, fuck, okay, right. Some of these people are all right. Some of these people are hard work. But what I noticed is that the people I enjoyed working with were entrepreneurs. So I started to actually then offer marketing coaching, right? And I started a business called Client Stream. But what I realized is that it was a little bit mismatched for me, okay? It was very utility based. It was just about like, all right, get clients. But there was no essence, there was no soul. So I had a bit of a penny drop moment at one point, and I thought, fuck, what if I combine the two? So what if I teach my marketing and I teach my messaging and I teach my getting out there stuff, right, to entrepreneurs, but it's also got this whole purpose piece, right? This whole personal development piece, this whole essence of being, a modern warrior. And the idea hit me, a modern warrior. So I created a guide called Way of the Modern Warrior, and it was 7 crucial steps for building a thriving coaching business. So I made the guide, and I just did my little free thing, wrote on the screen, recorded the video. I was in Spain at the time, where I am as well today. It was a couple of years ago. And I just threw it up on Facebook, and I just said, let's just test this. And leads started coming in like crazy. Like I was getting like 70-cent leads, like unheard of, like literally unheard of for people that wanted to be coaches. And I was like, holy fuck. So I went from like a real struggling coach with like, I was making a bit of money, but it, like everything was work. There was so much emailing, there was so much prospecting, there was so much stuff going on to actually get a sale, to all of a sudden there was just this abundance of leads absolutely flying through. And that was the point when I was like, okay, I can actually build something now, because if I'm getting leads for 70 cents, okay, and my offer at the time, I think when I started out, it was about like 3.5K or something for the business coaching, or 3K. I was like, all I have to do, if I'm getting leads for 70 cents, I can get 5,000 leads. If I can just convert one of those leads, I break even. So I was like, let's go. And I literally just built the whole rest of the funnel. I added in a tripwire, I added in a product offer. I started selling something after people opt in, which liquidated the ad cost even more and made it to all the money I was spending on ads. It became like 20-30% of what it was. And that was the first influx into the Modern Warrior. And within about 3 weeks after launching that guide, I was launching my first group in the Modern Warrior. And on the first call I took, there was 11 people on the call. So literally like went bang. It went from nothing to bang. I had a coaching business. I had a group program. And it was very exciting. It was very cool because I just had a lot of drips and drops before that, right? So that's the power of one good ad, right? Now, there's been a lot of different funnels, a lot of different developments since then. But when you get this right, you can build loads of things off the back of it, okay? Now, on the flip side, if your ads don't work, the entire funnel that you build is going to be useless. So if you think about this, you really want to try and get that ad to work first, because if you go and you build out a whole funnel, build out all these assets, and then you try and make an ad work, and it doesn't work, people don't like the offer, people don't resonate with the ad, it's kind of pointless, right? It doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense. And that's why ready, fire, aim testing for Facebook ads is ultimately the way you have to go about it. It's about casting the net out, seeing what hits, seeing what resonates with people. And as soon as you get that like validation that your idea is working, then you start to build on it thereafter. Is that making sense, guys? Yeah? Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So quick story on this, right? To go a little bit deeper. So I just want to show you some recent testing I did. So basically, I've had a lot of guide funnel success, building guides, giving away guides for free, and then charging $1 for a guide, selling courses, I've ran case study campaigns, things like this. I've ran campaigns into messenger bots, which have worked quite well as well. I've done a lot of different things, but what I was never able to get to work on cold traffic, and I never really gave it that much of a go, was video trainings. Okay. So here, opt in for a training, watch the training, and then book in a call. Okay. And I know it can work because I see a lot of other people in the industry that are making it work well, but it's hard to do because on Facebook, when you're talking head and you're inviting someone to a 15-minute video, they're like, they just want a little bright, shiny object. They want a quick little thing, right? They don't want friction. But I knew it was possible. So I decided that I wanted to do this and the reason I did is because I want to work more, and I am working more now, my private consulting, with people that are already engaged in marketing, because I like the challenge of that. I love funnels, talking about funnels now. I like the architecture of it. And I can like small hinges can swing massive doors for people. So I'm like, how do I get these guys that are already in the game? Okay. So I started thinking about this and I decided that I wanted to build a funnel because my offer is good. It's a pretty high price offer. So if I'm even spending $1,000 to get a client, like that's a great return for me. Okay. So I'm like, let's build a video funnel and let's put some budget behind it. And if I can book in calls for $100, $200, $300, $400, I can probably make that work. Okay. So I started thinking about, all right, so what do people want? What am I good at? What can I offer to the market? That's a very powerful solution. Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind is the one thing that I'm really good at, which is messaging. Okay. So what I did first of all is I started testing these. Where are we? So I started testing messaging. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Basically, I'm testing ads that say, look, your problem is not the strategies and the tactics. Your problem is the message that's within your funnel, because that's the thing that's going to connect you with people, right? Is the main thing. So fix your message and you'll fix the rest of your problems. So I started testing and I started talking about things like ancient secrets and things that I share in the guide and things that align with the modern warrior. Okay, like ancient secrets used by Alexander the Great and great leaders of our time and all this kind of stuff. But if you see here, I'm getting like $30 a lead, $33 a lead, which is not what you want, right? So it's not working. So if you see here, I tried 5 different ads. Okay. You see 2, 3, 4, 1. These are all different ads. Okay. And none of them are working. So what am I trying to do first? The first thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to see, do any of these creatives work? So I'm trying to test the idea. I'm saying, do you guys resonate with this? And then I'm not just launching one ad and saying, okay, that whole idea is flawed. Nobody's going to resonate with it. No, I'm going to take the idea and I'm going to put it across a bunch of different ads. So as you see, I've tried a bunch of different creatives and some of them perform better than other ones, right? Like this one.
If you've got a message for the world, this message is for.
So there's that one. Okay. There's this, and I'm talking about the hero's journey and storytelling and all this kind of stuff, right? So I'm not getting the results and I'm like, huh. And then I created a video training, which I probably shouldn't have done just yet, but whatever. Didn't work. So I'm trying more. Okay. And I'm like, oh, messaging, sign up for people. People aren't resonating with it. And at that point I was like, well, people don't want messaging. It's not what they want, or it's not spanning the right way. Or maybe it's too dominated in the space. Maybe too many people are talking about the hero's journey. Too many people are talking about your message and your offer, or people just don't really see the value of it. People they want more bright, shiny objects or whatever. So I'm like, all right, so what else do high level dudes want? I was thinking about more things that I can really give to people. Okay. Because this is what you're thinking. You're thinking about your avatar and you're thinking about, what do they want? Right? What do these people want? Okay. So the next thing, as you see, I tried message again here, more videos, different angles, tried mixing it up. Tried more than enough to see. And I went through about 10, 15 creatives on this because I was so like this is the piece. I had the whole funnel mapped out in my head. Didn't resonate. So the next thing I was like, maybe I go after fear and imposter syndrome because I'm really good at that shit. And I know a lot of high level dudes have this, and this is kind of stunting people and holding them back. So you see here now, I started talking about fear. And I started talking about personal problems that entrepreneurs have. Where is this one? And I'm trying different copy. I'm trying different creatives.
Hey, Chris,
Yo,
can you just remind me, like, what's a good cutoff point that you're kind of looking at as far as like how much spent or how many, people it's coming across before you're saying that's donezo?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we'll get into that a little bit after. I'm just trying to run through the story. Yeah, so we'll get into that a little bit after. But if you look at this angle, this ad started actually hit with people. Transform into a warrior entrepreneur 7 steps. So you see this getting a bit of engagement, shares, 12 shares. Whatever, I don't need to show you the video. I'm talking about fear, and I'm talking about that being the core problem. And because I'm heavy in this testing phase, I was a little bit in the weeds with it, right? And I was like, right, come on, I gotta get something to work. And then I was reminded of all the fucking people I served back in the day before I started serving entrepreneurs. And I was like, man, if I'm going at this fear angle, I think I might attract people that are a little bit lower on the energetic spectrum. And immediately I was like, I actually want to pull the plug on this. So even though I was starting to get some early results and I could have built upon that, I decided to pull the plug on it because I didn't think it was doing it for the right people. So I went on to the next thing. I went on to the Modern Warrior Morning. I was like, this would be more productive people that are into efficiency, people that are into productivity. Here's a morning routine, right? Here's my whole morning system, which I've sold as a product before. Okay, and you can see people are opting in for it. It was actually doing all right. So where's the best one here? This guy. Okay. Would you like to get more done in one morning than most entrepreneurs do in a week? There's only 4 things you need for a business to function. Okay. Let this warrior morning system build your business. Now, again, it got some early results, but it wasn't really hitting home with people. And again, I realized, this is so broad. This is so broad. And I was thinking, what was the purpose of this? The purpose of this is I want to work with people that are already engaging in marketing or thinking about engaging in marketing. And it's really interesting that you can't see the label from inside the jar so often. But the penny dropped again. And I was like, I need to be talking about funnels. I need to be talking about marketing. I need to be talking about these higher level problems. And that's when it hit me. And that's when I went and I recorded a bunch of stuff on funnels. Okay. So every single one of these ads, I'm doing a new opt-in. Every single one. Right. So I've gone through 4 different opt-ins at this point. This is the 4th opt-in. And finally, it actually hit. Okay. And let me show you the one that's working, the ad that's working. This one. Okay. Reverse funnel gets clients for 84% less. Now, this is very much speaking to somebody that's already engaged in ads. Okay. So reverse funnel, what is that? That's a new mechanism. It's something they haven't heard of. Gets clients, gets the result people want. Clients. Pretty simple. It's what we help people do for 84% less, massive benefit. Okay. So a new mechanism for people gets the results they want with a massive benefit for less. Okay. Without the things that they don't want. They don't want to spend a bunch of money on ads. Tested about 7 versions of this creative, 1 hit, and I just started scaling it up. Okay.
So the biggest breakthrough I've ever had as a coach is this.
Now, there's other things I learned during this time. And these are principles I know, but again, you forget because I'm a bit of a mad creator and I just start recording videos and busting out stuff sometimes. People don't really like talking head videos on Facebook. And there's enough people that just have random images with their arms folded. So this one, I'm totally different. I'm holding an object, which is like I used to do with my ebook guides. I'm pointing at this thing. I'm calling out who I want to serve in the first couple of seconds. The biggest breakthrough I've ever had as a coach is this: coaches, funnels, marketing. Okay. Pattern interrupt. I'm about to break all the rules of Facebook ads. So I put a lot of time and energy and effort and thought into this ad And when you do that and you know who you're talking to and you're very you're clear on all that, start to hit, provided the ad is quality. And you see this ad is much more higher quality than the other stuff. Massive benefit, okay? Good quality video. So a lot of good things happening. So throughout this time, before I got this to work, since the 25th of May, so this is a little under 2 months. Now I've had this one ad working for about 2 weeks. So you could see that from the start of this, since testing that first funnel, I had 4 different angles, big ideas, funnels built in 1 month, right? So it took me about 1 month to get to, okay, the reverse funnel. Now I've spent about $4,700 in that time. Now, from this reverse funnel, I've spent $2,300. $2,400 was spent on just testing these other things. And most people would never get here because they'd get to 500 on one creative or 300 and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm done. They wouldn't keep going. But I kept going because I know it will hit eventually and I know I'll figure it out eventually. And you just got to work it. So yesterday we made 2 sales and we're well in profit now. So all that testing money, okay, if I didn't have the mindset for that, I'd be at 2,500, 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, and I'd be done. But we're, heavily in the green now. So you can see the power in that. And this funnel is only really getting started because it took the first 1,000 was testing a lot of different angles on these different ads. And then that was the one that hit ultimately. As you can see here, there's lots of different versions of this. Okay. 2, 6, 7, 3. There's like 7 different videos I did and a bunch of different headlines. So you're testing to see what hits. And that's the philosophy you need to have. So does that make sense, guys?
Makes perfect sense. Are you gonna tell us a little bit about like the process of testing, what to test first and everything?
Absolutely. That's what's coming up right now. Okay, cool. So just to anchor this, right? You don't really know what your audience wants. Okay, you don't know what they want. And if you imagine you're like a fisherman and you've just been given a boat and you're going out to sea, you don't even know what fucking fish are in that sea. And you don't even know what bait they want. So you're going to grab the best bait that you think might work and you're going to toss it in a bunch of different directions and see what fish bite it, right? So you have to cast the net out wide to see where you get a nibble, to see where you get one fish. And you're like, oh, look, we've got herring coming in. So let's herring like this type of bait, right? So and then let's move further in that direction. All right. And then you're going to get more herring and then it's going to start to come. Okay. But you have to cast wide to see what you get first. You have to try a lot of different locations, different angles. Okay. Now it's very, very unlikely the first time you cast that net that you're going to get a big load, right? Unless you're Dwayne, who works in magic, right? So in other words, it's unlikely that you strike gold on your first dig. And the number one reason why people fail is because they simply just don't test enough and they give up too early. And that is ultimately the surest way to fail. So then it comes to like troubleshooting, right? So when your ads don't work, right, you have to understand like what it is that's making it not work. Now it could be the ad, it could be the creative, it could be the copy, it could be the big idea, it could be your energy, it could be your vibe, and it could be the hook. So it could be a lot of different things. So when I'm testing these different things for messaging, I'm showing up with all the energy I can. I'm trying all the different angles I can. I'm trying all the different hooks. I've got my vibe on point. Okay. I've tried different creatives. I've mixed around the copy. And I'm getting to the point where it's like, okay, they don't want the offer, right? Which is the second piece. They don't want the offer. It's not present. It's undesirable what I'm talking about. If I've spun it 10 different ways and people aren't resonating with it, it's undesirable. So the issue is not the ad, it's the offer. Okay. So that means you have to completely pivot your offer and do a different offer, or do a different angle, or change the big idea, change the whole positioning of what you're talking about. Okay. So some of the reasons why the offer doesn't resonate with people, it could just be something that people don't want. it could be very unclear. The result at the other end of it just may not be clear at all. Like, does that even make sense? What does this give me? How does this help me? Or it seems like hard work. It seems like I don't want to do that. Okay. It seems like a lot of effort in order to do that. Somebody's trying to sell me fucking, you know, a boot camp, and I basically want a cheat sheet kind of thing. Not to say you can't sell boot camps, not to say you can't sell hard work. You can't, but you got to frame it in the right way. Okay. So just some ways to test this, right? So your first test, you really want 5 different audiences, 5 different groups of people. You want to test at least 2 creatives, and then you want to test at least two sets of copy. And the most important pieces of the copy are the lead and the headline. All right. So let me just show you what the lead and the headline are real quick. So the lead is this line here. This is what encourages people to click here. And when people start clicking here to get more engagement on the ad. So the lead has to be catchy. This is really, really important. Okay. You could call this above the fold. And this is the headline. Okay. And you can put a headline here if you're doing a video as well, if you want. Now this headline should be real catchy. Okay. And it should be really interesting. And it should be a big promise. Okay. With a unique mechanism. So you want to test different variations of the headline. You want to test different variations of the creative. Now the creative is the number one thing. So if this is in a hierarchy, you've got creative, which is number 1. Then you've got the headline and the above the fold, which would probably compete for number 2. And then you've got things like the button, below the fold, and all this stuff, which is a little bit less important. A lot of people don't even really read down here. Okay. It's still important, but it's nowhere near as important as the other ones. So you want to, in the beginning, you want to test 5 audiences, 2 different creatives, 2 headlines, 2 leads, right? Which is going to give you a bunch of different combinations. And then once you see which ones are working, okay, then you start to build upon that. If they're not working, try more creatives. If they're working a little bit, take that creative or that video. Okay, so people are working, it's working a little bit here. Can I start off with that lead, and can I make this ad better? Can I add in subtitles? Can I have more energy? Can I do what I'm doing here, but do it better? Okay, does that make sense? And see if that works. See if that works. And then if it doesn't, and if you tested enough things like you've seen I'm doing here, it's like, all right, scrap this idea. Let's go with a totally different angle. Let's change the offer. So targeting tier 1 countries, if you're watching the recording, you can come back and look at these. This isn't too important. But here's some KPIs. Okay. So the goal, right, it depends on what type of funnel you're running. So we've really got kind of three funnels that we're kind of doing here. Okay. So let's start with Brandon. Let's start with your book funnel. Okay. So over here on the right, so sales funnel for a low ticket product. What you're looking to get, because you're actually delivering the offer on the ad. Okay. You're saying, hey, this book is $1. So people should be showing up to that page with massive intent. They shouldn't be clicking on it unless they have at least some intent, but they know it's an offer for sale. So that means that if they're not interested, people shouldn't really be clicking on that. They will anyway. But you're going to look at a higher cost per click and a higher conversion rate. When you have the offer in the ad, you know, it's more just like people that are intent to buy is the people that you're looking for. So you're going to have a slightly higher cost per click. $2 to $3 is good. Okay. $2 to $3 is really good. So it can even go higher than that. Add to carts for like a $1 product, a $7 product, a $10 product, like a book, $5 to $15. You're looking for an add to cart. Okay. Maybe about a quarter of people that add to cart actually buy. So you're looking at about $20 to $50 cost per purchase. And if you're getting $20 to $50 cost per purchase, Brandon, what is your goal then? Let's say you're getting $30 cost per purchase. What is your goal? What do you have to do for work thereafter?
After they purchase.
Let's say you're getting, so you have a $1 ebook, right?
Yeah.
Let's say people are consistently buying for $30. What do you now have to do?
Wait, what are they buying for $30?
The $1 ebook.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Then I would want to, I want to get them to a call, but before that, I want to add in like order bumps and stuff like that to liquidate that ad spend or bring it down a little bit.
Yep. So in other words, you want to increase your average order value to liquidate a little bit more of your ad spend. Yep. So if you got $30 cost per purchase, which is very reasonable, Brandon. Okay. Very, very reasonable. Even on a $1 ebook, You've got to add in those upsells to get that up.
Yeah.
You know, if your average order value is, I think on my $1 ebook, my average order value is like $16 or something. If your average order value is like $2, it's going to be really hard. Okay. Because you're never going to get consistent cost per purchase below $20. You may in the beginning, but over the long term, you won't. Okay. Unless prove me wrong. Maybe you can go and prove me wrong. So they're the KPIs that you're looking for your ebook. Dwayne, the case study campaign. So you're doing really well here. So what would be reasonable here? Okay. Particularly in tier 1 countries, about $8 to $15 per message coming into Messenger. That would be a really great result. Okay. And you want to think about, okay, what percentage of these Messenger dialogues are actually moving on to the call, right? Because you want to look, what's my offer? Well, right now the offer is $1,500. How much am I prepared to pay for a client? I'm prepared to pay, whatever, maybe like $300 per client. That would be a 5x ROI. That's very, very good. Very, 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 very good. Okay. Particularly in the early phases. So it's like, all right, so what percentage of people am I closing? Well, I'm closing 30%. Okay. So that means I need to book in a call for $100, right? Because 1 in 3 people are going to close. Okay. So it's like, how many of these, so if you're getting messages for $10, right? I need to get 1 in 10 of these messages onto the call. I need to get 1 in 10 of these messages onto the call. If I can do that, I'm getting, for every $100 I spend, I'm getting a call, right? For every $300 I spend, I'm getting 3 calls. For every 3 calls I'm getting, I'm closing 1 client. For every client I'm getting, I'm banking $1,500. And that's the way you want to look at it. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. So it's going to be a little bit higher on the case study campaign if you choose to go direct to the application form of Facebook, $10 to $50. $50 is because if you're B2B, look, if you're selling a high level solution, it's going to be a little bit more. If you're personal development, $10 would be the kind of, if you're getting that, that's absolutely amazing. Okay. Endo is getting a little bit less than that, which is again, relatively unheard of, but sometimes they really work. If your offer is something that people really want and it's presented very clearly, you can do awesome things. And then the last thing is really this a lead gen funnel. So if you're giving away a guide, if you're giving away meditation like Katya, if you're giving away free training, you're looking at about $1 to $2 clicks, right? You want to get about a 25 to 50% conversion rate on your opt-in page. Okay. And ultimately leads in B2C, which is personal development or whatever, like going direct to clients, talking about $1.50 to $4 a lead. You can make that work. And then B2B, you're talking maybe $5 a lead to $15 a lead at the high end. Sometimes it can be more if you're very, very kind of niched, specific, but 5 to 15 would be really, really solid if you're in B2B. Right now, we're paying about $9 a lead on that reverse funnel, and it's working and it's converting for us inside our KPI. So does that sort of answer the beginning of your question? You wanted to know, Brandon, when to kill, is it?
Yeah, I mean, at how much spend?
Yeah. So what I'd say is these are your KPIs and this is what you're looking for. So you want to so I'll basically an ad set. I'll let every single ad set spend at least $3 personally, every single one. Now, if it hasn't got a single click in those $3, I'll turn it off. Now for you B2C, for that book, you could maybe even go a little bit lower. You could maybe look at $2. If not one single person has clicked on the ad or clicked through to the landing page after $2, you could switch the ad off. But it really depends on what the benchmark is. Okay. So it's kind of different for the, you see what Dwayne's doing there in the early testing phase, right? So he took 5 ad sets and he's going, right? And one's getting $10 per application, one's getting 8, one's getting 7, one's getting 5, right? So you don't really know what the benchmark is yet. Okay. Yeah. $5 is awesome. Let's launch more ads and see if we can get close to $5. And if we can get close to $5 consistently, let's kill everything that's coming in at $10 a lead. But you have to first figure out what that benchmark is. Okay, so now that he knows that $5 is his benchmark, or maybe it goes up to $7 or $8 or $9, right? Then it's like, okay, I'm going to launch a bunch of new campaigns. And if they're giving me $20 leads Or if I spend $7, $8, $9, $10 and I'm not getting clicks or leads, I'm going to turn it off. All right.
Got it. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so that's sort of the way it works. So your main metric, you're looking for like opt-ins, you're looking for the conversion. You're like, like for your book funnel, it's going to be like, I'm looking for add to carts. That's going to be my first thing to show me, oh yeah, people are interested in this, right? And then ultimately you're looking for purchases, because if you can get ad sets where you get a bunch of add to carts and you won't get any purchases, and it's like you want to turn them off. So that's the thing you're really looking for.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the other ones you're looking at opt-ins, which is the conversion. But if you want to try and kill your ads earlier, you can go down into the micros and you can look at the clicks. If that makes sense. But like generally what I'll do is, just because I haven't the time to be in there all the time, and I'd make more money if I set up rules and I did a lot of the stuff with Facebook ads and I was more on it and whatnot, I'd be like, all right, if this spends $4, $3 and doesn't get a click, turn off the ad set. Right. I don't do that. I'll let it run most of the time. I'll let them spend $10, $12. If I happen to be quite active on Facebook ads that day, I'll be more on top of it. But I'm a little bit more lenient with my ad spend, as you can see, because I'm kind of looking at like, all right, I'm looking back at these numbers back here. This is what I'm looking at.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, right. So $5,000 to me is just like, it's just like, we're just testing. Okay. So it depends, but you can be very, let's say, picky. You can do that, and it will serve you. But generally, you do want to let ads run, at least spend a couple of bucks to see what's happening. And you turn them off if they don't. But if they're getting some clicks or some add to carts or something, you want to give that ad maybe a couple of days. You want to give it maybe a day, maybe 2 days or something like that. Make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I know a lot of it is just, fear coming up from getting burned in the past.
Yeah.
But
I hear you.
It all makes perfect sense, and those KPIs are perfect.
Awesome. Sweet. So that's it. So I'm open to questions. Anything you guys want to go into?
You answered most of mine as we were going.
Cool.
Yeah, mine were hit on mostly on Tuesday, and this was kind of just like a good refresher on everything and gives me a good idea of the stuff that I should be looking at. So that's really nice. Should I, when I'm looking at, say, some of the lower performing ad sets that I have that are still, maybe getting, decent cost per message, because that's what I'm looking at. Should I look at changing things like my photos or the headline or anything like that? Or just, and because everything paused yesterday, I hadn't had a chance to do it yet, focus on, say, pulling out the one ad that had a wide net that was performing really well and split that up and try and hammer out which metric or audience.
Awesome. It's a great question. So I love it. So you're already getting great results, but you're like, all right, maybe we can even beat these, right? So it's like you want to know if you should change the creative, okay, on a winning ad. Should you test more creatives, which is the first thing to test? And we can actually look at a metric to give us some insight there. So if you want to pull up your screen, we can take a look at what we call CTR all, and we can see what that is, and that will let us know if we need to change it, if we can beat the creative or not. Okay. So we're getting 3.8, 2.58, 3.6, 4.5. So what you're looking for here, so this is basically how many clicks people click on the ad, right? And this is gonna like basically the higher these are, this is how many people that like the ad goes past that actually click on it to check. So in your one ad set there, Doja Me Too, 8% of the people that scrolls past their eyes are actually stopping to have a look at it and see what it's about, or click on it a little bit, right? They actually do some click somewhere on the ad. So that's a good sign that the creative is catchy. So what you're looking for there is you're like anything above, like you can make stuff, You can make stuff in a 2 point something work. 3 point something is solid. 4 point something is pretty good. Anything above 5 is really good. Okay, it's really strong. So what I'd be looking to do next is I'd be looking to really, because you've got one ad set that's getting like results that are like twice as good as your other ad sets, I'd be looking to see if I can get similar ad sets to work like that. And I want to test more. I'd be looking to test. I'd be looking to test 10 new ad sets of people. So see if you can get a pool of ad sets working for you where the CTR all is higher than 5 or 6. Don't get caught up in that metric. It doesn't matter. Just see if you can get five or six ad sets working that are all getting you really good cost per message. That's what you're looking to do. So right now, do you need to test another image? Look, what you could do is you could try do something similar because that image is obviously working, but you could try jazz it up a little bit. Do you want to pull up the image real quick?
Where's that? Edit?
So if you just click on that. Yep.
And it's the same image for all of them. It's just the picture of me in the dojo.
Yeah. So just click preview. So what you could do is you could maybe, like, that's a really awesome image, but you could maybe try to do it a little bit closer up. Okay. So you could cut off your feed and you could move in a little bit closer. You could zoom in on the weapons. You could maybe pick up one of the swords. Okay. Because we don't want to try and test too many different things. Like this image is already working. So how do we make the image even better? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So don't like go crazy and try and, splash something big and new.
You could, but there's no necessary, like you want to look at, like, we already have something working. How do we make it better? So what I'd do is I'd nearly crop the top left of that and get in much closer to your face. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'd maybe grab a sword as well and do some sort of crazy look on your face, looking at the camera with like a smile and like like with a sword or something. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, and part of the reason why I was thinking of a new image as well is I want to maybe do an image that's more on the adventure side, because I'm definitely getting a few whack jobs just based on the whole weapons martial arts thing. But again, it's not a terrible thing, and I think just if my image kind of reflects the other side of it as well, that might do really well. But I think, after, just going through everything with you is like taking, Dojo Me 2, Dojo Me 5, like take a good look at what those audience targets are and start breaking apart and seeing, where everything's coming from and kind of push harder in those areas.
Exactly. So cool. I'd say the copy's solid. Maybe try 2 more creatives, maybe 3, maybe something different, and see if you get a lift. But what I'd also be trying to do simultaneously, and this is the thing I'd be trying to do, is exactly what you just said, broadening out that targeting, new ad sets, new groups of people, and testing more there, and trying to get your ad budget up a little bit, Dwayne. And also just know that whenever you're targeting cold traffic on Facebook and you're trying to get cold traffic in quickly, you get whack jobs. Like there's so many whack jobs on Facebook.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God, I had the weirdest call yesterday. But anyway, that all sounds pretty good and kind of answers my question.
Yeah. Cool.
I loved it.
Give me a lot more information. Helps me know what I'm looking at and for, like what a lot of those numbers mean and stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome.